If you're not optimizing what you're doing and there's lots and lots of waste in your business, then you need your head read, because we are going into a period of economic uncertainty, and what I'm about to share with you will be really useful to optimize what you're doing, especially when it comes to your top line revenue.
Welcome to the Master Dealmakers Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmakers Secrets. I'm John Blake, and this is episode 181. And today we're going to be talking about how to permanently plug the 7 biggest sales revenue leaks in your business. But before we do that, if you've got leads in your pipeline that you've spoken to, that have been sent some kind of a quote or a proposal, and you haven't converted them yet, I want you to head over to johnblakeaudio.com. And what you'll find there is a 15-minute audio and a PDF that walks you through how you can double sales with those people that you've actually spoken to but haven't bought yet. The biggest question I get is, how much should I follow up? How much is too much? What should I write? What should I send to them? When should I call? What should I say if I get a voicemail? What should I write in my emails? How often should I write those emails? All of that is covered in this training. It is at johnblakeaudio.com. Go and grab it and put it into practice, because interestingly enough, one of the big plugs is your follow-up process. So one of those things you can tick off as being taken care of, and we're going to talk about the other 6 today. So years ago, in fact, if you search on the internet, there's a video by the late great Kerry Packer, who was James Packer's old man. He owned a whole bunch of media, and he was quoted because there was a royal commission, because I think someone said that he owned too much media, and there was a royal commission, and in the royal commission they had him on trial, and they were trying to ask him about minimizing his tax. And he was quoted as saying, if you are not minimizing your tax in this country, you need your head read, because I can tell you as a government, you're not spending it that wisely, that we should be donating extra. He said that word for word, which I think is a brilliant quote. So whether you agree with that or not, what I am saying to you, because obviously what does that have to do with what we're talking about here today? What I will say to you is that if you are not optimizing what you're doing in your business, you need your head read, because we are heading into a period of economic uncertainty. Interest rates are going up. There is still a bit of a hangover from the COVID thing. There are some businesses that are just hanging on. And if you want to be able to make your business resilient, you need to optimize it. So what I'm going to talk about today are the 7 areas that you can optimize your top line revenue, because in any business, cash flow is king, and not all businesses have access to massive, endless supplies of cash. So it's something that you really, really need to look at. And as I said, if you're not optimizing what you're doing and there's lots and lots of waste in your business, then you need your head read, because we are going into a period of economic uncertainty, and what I'm about to share with you will be really useful to optimize what you're doing, especially when it comes to your top line revenue. Okay, so the first, there's actually 7 areas, and there's a bonus one which I'm going to share with you as well. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you an example of optimization. Now, my background is in action sports. I worked in the surfing industry or action sports industry for 17 years. And I had a really interesting conversation. I was in the Mentawais on a surf trip, and I was surfing this. We rocked up to this right-hand break that I had never surfed before. And there was another boat that was there. And because we were on a boat, it was a boat trip. You pretty much stay on the boat for like 10 days straight, and you do a lot of surfing, which is fantastic, which is what I'm right into. So we rock up, there's another boat there, and there's a handful of guys that are all surfing this right-hander. And I get out there and I notice that there's a guy that I used to sell to who owns a surf shop in Wollongong. And I said to him, you don't happen to own a surf shop in Wollongong, do you? And he was like, yeah. And I go, I think I used to sell product to you when I was an agent in New South Wales. And he's like, oh, yeah. No, I remember. And so like it literally would have been at that point, I want to say at least 15, 20 years since I'd actually seen this guy. And so we're reconnecting out in the surf. And he said to me, if I knew what I knew now, I could have made so much more money back then. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, there was so much waste. He said, we used to order too much stock and we used to have to put too much on sale. And I said to him, well, the difference is that you didn't need to. The industry was on such a massive growth curve at that point. You didn't need to optimize. I said, you've had to optimize in the last 10 years because out of necessity, because the industry has, the demand has leveled off and you've had to do that out of necessity. Now, if you had have known those things, yeah, he would have made a truckload more. In fact, all of the businesses would have made a truckload more. And when I first started the consulting business, we were niched in action sports because we were helping them to optimize what they were doing from a sales perspective. So it was a really interesting conversation. So, he was at that point when I was selling to him, he was about to enter a period of economic uncertainty. And I think we're in a similar boat now. So I'm going to get on with it. The 7 areas. So the first one is front-end qualification. Front-end qualification. Now, what I mean by that is that when someone first enters your ecosystem, we need to begin that process the right way. So we need to set that person up in a way that we are going to be able to maximize the opportunity whilst also maximizing their client experience. They need to have an experience with us that obviously makes them want to buy from us to start off with, but also makes them want to continue to do business with us. So that needs to happen right from the very second that somebody enters our ecosystem. And by enters our ecosystem, I mean calls our business, emails our business. What is it that we are doing to optimize that front-end qualification? A lot of people who listen to the podcast want to know what we do over at Master Dealmaker Secrets. And effectively what we do is we work with sales professionals and business owners all over the world who are seeing massive increases in their top-line sales revenue. So we help business owners and sales professionals to effectively focus on the 3 key drivers to growing sales revenue in your business. The first one is controlling the message that you send out into the marketplace so that potential clients see and hear and read what you do as an opportunity as opposed to your competitors. The second thing that we do is we help you to create a direct path to the 20% of your ideal clients that will deliver 80% of the revenue. So everyone knows the 80-20 rule. We help you to develop a direct path to the 20% of the people that are going to give you 80% of your sales revenue in your business. And the third thing that we allow you to do, that we create a process for, is for you to be able to double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients. So if this is of interest, we do have an application-only process to become involved in this particular program. And to get to there, all you need to do is to go to www.johnblakescall.com. So it's JOHNBLAKESCALL.com, and there's a couple of questions to answer there. And then what you'll do is get on a quick conversation with me, and I can find out a little bit more about what you've got going on in your business and see potentially whether what you are doing would be a fit for what we could help you with. And at that point, I can extend an invitation if it's a fit, and you can make the choice to come on board or not. So that's the opportunity. That would be the next step if you're looking at how you can take things to the next level. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, if you're getting value from it, I invite you to do that, and I will look forward to talking to you. The website is www.johnblakescall.com. johnblakescall.com. Talk to you soon. The other part is that we need to disqualify people that don't represent an opportunity. And so the reason we want to do that is we don't want to spend time and resources following up with people that don't represent an opportunity. So we need, as much as we need to qualify people at the front end, we also need to disqualify people that don't represent an opportunity also at the front end. So that's number one. The second one is structured discovery. Now, if we are not properly diagnosing, and by diagnosing, we're talking about uncovering the motivation to want to change or the pain of where they are right now, we need to obviously make that, we need to uncover that pain and create an environment where the person becomes aware of the impact of that pain and the cost of doing nothing, which also has the effect of creating urgency to want to do something about that. So that's just one of the other areas. The second one is we need to establish a goal. So it's not enough to just establish that there's pain. We need to establish where they want to go to properly have a structured discovery process. In doing so, we can uncover the cost of inaction, because the purchase takes place only in the person's head when the cost of doing nothing becomes greater than the investment in your product or service. There are another 3 to 7 areas to tick off prior to actually making a making a recommendation rather, and presenting our offer. And so, there are around about 10, but there's at least those 3 are the main ones. So the pain, the goal, the cost of inaction, and there are another between 3 and 7 areas that we've got to tick off prior to making our recommendation. The next area we need an offer that is structured to convert. So we need to firstly create an offer that has a point of difference from your competitors. And the second thing we need to do is we need to make sure that it is presented, that the offer is presented in a way that is going to convert. So we need to create that offer in a way that's going to convert. We also need to present that offer in a way that's going to convert as well. So the next area is the premium version of what you do. Now, what we know is that 20% of your buyers will choose a premium version of what you do, provided that you, 1, offer it, and 2, that you actually structure the offer in a way that is researched and is likely to be something that they're going to say yes to. But they will choose a more expensive, a Rolls-Royce version of what you offer if you are presenting it to them and it solves additional problems. A lot of people are not optimizing their business because they are not offering that premium version of what they do. So that is number 4. Number 5 is regular price rises. So what we know is that you can increase your prices by 10% and it won't affect your conversions one bit. You can increase your price with existing clients by 10% and you are very unlikely to have any of them leave. If they do leave, it'll be under 5%. So they are simple ways that you can increase cash in your business. Put your prices up 10%. It's not going to affect your conversions, and very few, if any, people will leave. I've seen this happen time and time again with my clients. The next one is properly tracking opportunities. Now, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but if you are tracking your opportunities, so when I say tracking an opportunity, is somebody has inquired, you've sent them a quote, and instead of having a proper CRM, you've got it in a spreadsheet. That is a disaster. It is a joke. Spreadsheets are a joke. Spreadsheets are great for working out figures, but they are terrible for tracking opportunities. Instead, what you need is a way that you can visually track your potential client, your prospect, as it goes through each stage of your sales process. If you are able to track it, you will be able to manage it properly and you won't let anything slip through the cracks. Again, time and time again, I've seen businesses that track their opportunities on spreadsheets and it is an absolute disaster. If you want to optimize conversions and you want to make sure that you get back to people and convert people in the fastest time possible, you need an effective way to track opportunities. So to recap, we've talked about front-end qualification, we've talked about structured discovery, we've talked about an offer structure to convert, we've talked about a premium version of what you do, we've talked about regular price rises, and we've talked about a way to properly track opportunities. And the best way to do that is with a CRM. The seventh is follow-up. Now, if you've been watching or listening for a while, you will know that I actually have a system for this that I give away for free. You can go and get it and tick this one off at johnblakeaudio.com. So I give you my actual system for following up, and in a way that's proactive, that's professional, won't piss people off. So you can get that one, tick that one off at johnblakeaudio.com. The last one is one that, again, I don't see very many people doing, but it is your back-end offer. So what is it that you are doing? So once somebody has bought from you, and they may have even chosen a premium option, what is it that you can offer that is an ongoing commitment? So how can you keep them in the conversation? And it might be a lower price, but if you've got a monthly or service type arrangement where they can stay as a client, you can continue to support them, obviously for an ongoing fee. That is also an area that people tend to neglect. So there's 7 with the bonus, which is the back end offer, and I'm going to expand on these in coming episodes. And I've actually got a training that I am putting together that I want to also extend an opportunity for you to attend. If you would like me to put you on the list for that training, what I want you to do is you can either email me at john@john-blake.com.au. That is my actual personal email address. It will not be replied to or received by my VA. That one goes to me. So if you would like to be put on the list to see the training where I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about how to plug all of these 8 areas, then I invite you to send me an email. So john@john-blake.com.au, and I'll put you on the list and I will send you the details when I put this training together. And it'll be a virtual training, but there will be a stack of value in there. And send me an email if you want to be included. So as usual, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.